Flash flooding caused major problems across our area, including at apartments in University City. The Westover apartments had to evacuate because of flooding. People were rushed to a nearby shelter. Reporter Tracy Hinson will take us through that damage and its effects in just a few minutes.
The heaviest rain hit suddenly right around the morning commute. Cars were stranded in the water along Riverview Drive. The St. Louis Fire Department found 6 of them between 7 and 9 this morning. Firefighters had to rescue at least 4 people.
The National Weather Service recorded rainfall totals of more than 4 inches in St. Louis and other cities around the bi-state, but Eureka had one of the highest totals, 5.5 inches. The flash flooding soaked about a dozen businesses there and submerged several cars.
The flooding didn't stop there. In the Chesterfield area, there were 6 calls for help this morning and 4 water rescues.
Our Sarah Maki is live now with more. And Sarah, what do we know about these rescues?
Well, luckily everybody was okay, including a mom and her young kid who were rescued. But they say most of the problems were around creeks and drainage ditches. And I want to give you an idea of just how much water we're talking about. Look at this area behind us over here. You'll see the bridge and then way below it, the creek. But that water was up over the bridge earlier today, just one of the spots where somebody had to be rescued. We also do have a photo from the fire protection district that they shared with us. This is the spot where they had to rescue that mom and her child. Again, luckily, everybody okay. But as fast as that water came, it receded back into the creek. Some homeowners we were talking to, they say that spot right there is known to flood, and it was closed last week for high water. So firefighters ask that you know your own roads. Look around for high water, and if you see anything, turn around, don't drown, right? They say this morning they certainly saw a strain on their resources when they were headed all over the district.
The west end, the east end, it starts to spread the resources thin. It pulls the mutual aid resources in and all of that. So some of our guys were running one call right to the next.
All right, so like we said, this is just one of the many problem spots around. We talked to a homeowner about the kind of issues that she's seeing in her neighborhood. We are still working on that story for tonight at 6, and we will have more at that time. Right now, live in Chesterfield, Sarah Maki, 5 on your side.
We continue our team coverage of the flash floods with Tracy Hinson live at that apartment complex in U City.
And Tracy says some people who live there will not be going home tonight.
Mike and Kay, I'm at the Westover Apartments where I'm told that most of the bottom floor units have been condemned, so those people will not be returning home today after this very quick flooding event. There were also flood crews on site nearly all day long. They just left trying to salvage anything they could from this very quick flooding. The sun was barely up when this complex was surrounded by flash flooding. The swift water floated parked cars away, even moving the large dumpster to the next street over. Neighbors tell me flash flooding is a problem for this complex and that people on the bottom floor have had to move out before because of flood-related issues. They also said this time was faster than ever before. I talked to a few residents who were out early for a walk, and they said the River des Peres fooled them.
The water receded. Then I went back up, get some breakfast, and within 10 minutes, cars were just moved up and flooded. It was sad.
The floodwater receded as quickly as it rose, and almost as soon as they needed help, the Red Cross was there. They transported people to the local community center, and then they were on site here later in the day, giving people resources for those who don't have a place to stay tonight. In University City, I'm Tracy Hinson, 5 on your side.
And we're in the Weather Center with Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell, and you say this was kind of freakish.
Yeah, you know, flash flooding like this, to get this to happen, you have to have a lot of things coming together. One of the things we had was a lot of moisture last night in the column. You know how humid it was? If you take the atmosphere all the way up to the top of the atmosphere, we're talking about what we call precipitable water, 2 inches or more. And it was centered right over our area. So a couple of things. We had an area of thunderstorms that came out of the Ozarks. That was our energy swinging forward. And as it was sliding across to our south, that enhanced the showers and the thunderstorms across the St. Louis area very early this morning as we had the upper level front approaching from the north and west. And what that ended up doing was giving us widespread 2 to 6 inch rainfall amounts. In a few places like Granite City had 6.5 inches of rain, and all in a short amount of time. So that's a lot of rain in a short amount of time. Not going to happen, though, in the near future. We're talking about a much calmer weather pattern ahead in about 15 minutes, Kay.